Ah, travel. We all love it, right? The excitement of exploring a new place, seeing incredible sights. It's an entire industry that's literally built on our dreams. But as we're about to see, every dream has a shadow. Let's dive into the two very different sides of tourism.
I mean, this is the picture we're all chasing, isn't it? That perfect, postcard-worthy escape. It's the photo that lives on our phone's lock screen, the image that pops into our heads when we're daydreaming at work. This is what makes us save up, plan for months, and finally pack those bags. Okay, but here's the tough question we have to ask. What if the very act of chasing that paradise actually helps destroy it? What if our dream vacation is, without us even realizing it, contributing to a very real nightmare for the environment and for the local communities who call that beautiful place home?
To really get our heads around this problem, we need a guiding light. And that's where this idea comes in: sustainable tourism. Now, the official definition from the UN is tourism that balances today's needs with tomorrow's. But a simpler way to think about it, it's about visiting a place without using it up. It's about leaving it just as beautiful as you found it.
So let's start with the most obvious piece of the puzzle, the environment itself. I mean, tourism's whole product is nature, right? It sells us beautiful landscapes, crystal clear water, and amazing wildlife. But here's the paradox. The very industry that depends on this fragile product can also be its biggest enemy.
It really all boils down to this: a fundamental choice between two paths. On one side, tourism holds the incredible promise of conservation, of protecting these places, but on the other, it carries the very real peril of degradation. Two possible futures for the exact same spot on the map.
First, let's talk about that promise, because when it's done right, tourism can be a huge force for good. Think about it. That park fee you pay to hike at a place like Kinabalu Park, that money goes directly to protecting the forest and paying the rangers. It can give local economies a better option than, say, logging or mining, and it can create this amazing environmental awareness, especially when you come face-to-face with sea turtles at a sanctuary. It can even spark big projects, like the massive cleanup of the Malacca River.
This brings us to a really powerful idea called non-extractive resource use. It sounds a bit academic, I know, but it's a simple and brilliant concept. You can make money from nature without actually destroying it. The wildlife tours in Sukhow are a perfect example. They've shown that keeping a forest alive for tourists to see pygmy elephants can actually be more profitable year after year than just bulldozing it for a palm oil plantation.
Okay, so that's the sunny side of the story. But you know what they say about coins, and this is where we have to flip it over and look at the other side.
And here is the peril. Unchecked tourism development can be devastating. We're talking about pollution, with untreated sewage flowing right into the ocean and killing coral reefs. We're talking about mountains of plastic trash piling up in remote island communities that have no way to deal with it. It's physical damage too, from boats dropping anchors on fragile coral to construction on hillsides like in Genting Islands, causing erosion. And in some places, like Langkawi, massive hotels can use so much water that it actually creates shortages for the people who live there.
Let's zoom in on that water pollution for a second. The scientific term for what happens is eutrophication. Basically, when all those nutrients from sewage hit the water, it's like dumping a giant bag of fertilizer onto the ocean. It causes algae to just explode, creating these massive blooms that block out sunlight and literally smother the beautiful living coral reefs below. We've seen this happen in places like Pulau Redang.
So the environment is clearly at risk, but it's not the only thing. What about the people? What about the communities that call these tourist hotspots home? This brings us to the community's cost. Is tourism empowering them, or is it basically putting their culture up for sale?
And again, we see that same tension, that same double-edged sword. Tourism has the power to revitalize local cultures and fill people with pride, but at the same time, it can put so much pressure on a community that it starts to erode the very traditions that made it unique in the first place.
Let's look at the upside first. Tourism can breathe new life into traditions that might be fading away. All of a sudden, there's a real economic reason for a younger generation in Kelantan to learn traditional Dikir Barat from their elders. And it's not just about culture. It brings practical benefits like better roads, better internet, and can even build real connections between people from totally different worlds.
And this quote right here, it absolutely nails it. Just think about all those beautiful historic shophouses in places like Georgetown and Malacca. Honestly, without tourism, many of them might have been torn down by now. But tourism gave them a new kind of value. It turned what some saw as just old buildings into priceless, protected assets for everyone.
It's a really fine line, though, isn't it? There's a tipping point where celebrating a culture can start to feel a lot more like, well, consuming it. And this is that downside. You get what's called the demonstration effect, where local kids start to copy the behaviors and spending habits of tourists, which can cause real rifts in families. The cost of living can shoot through the roof, making it hard for local people to even afford to live in their own hometown. And when you cram too many people into one small place, it just naturally leads to tension and friction.
This whole process has a name, you know? It's called cultural commodification. And here's the best way to understand it. Imagine a sacred ritual, a dance that was meant to last all night and had deep spiritual importance to a village. Commodification is when that dance gets chopped up, repackaged, and turned into a 5-minute highlight reel performed in a hotel lobby. The movements might look the same, but the soul, the meaning, is just gone.
In fact, this pattern is so common that sociologists have actually mapped it out. They call it Doxey's irritation index. It starts with euphoria, everyone's excited, visitors are welcome. But then, as the crowds grow, it can slip into apathy, where tourists are just seen as walking wallets. From there, it moves to annoyance when locals start to feel crowded out. And if things don't change, it can end in open antagonism, where residents are just plain fed up.
So, where does all of this leave us? We've seen the good, we've seen the bad, and we've seen the really complicated stuff in between. It seems like it all comes down to one thing: finding the right balance.
And this table really sums up that balancing act perfectly. You can see it right here. For every single promise, there's a potential peril on the other side. Environmentally, tourism can either fund conservation or cause pollution. Socially, it can revitalize a culture or turn it into a commodity. It can improve life for everyone with new infrastructure, or it can strain local resources to the breaking point. It's a constant push and pull.
And that really brings the whole question back to us, to you and me. Because we aren't just watching this story unfold, we're in it. We're the main characters. Every single choice we make when we travel, where we stay, what we eat, what we buy, how we act, it adds a little bit of weight to one side of these scales. So the question I want to leave you with is this: the next time you travel, how are you going to tip them?